Welcome to a deep dive into Operation Granite, a complex private investigation that shook the Midlands construction industry. In this video, we unravel the events surrounding the arson conviction in 2019, the involvement of Repton Security Limited, and the intricate web of relationships between investigators, legal teams, and corporate players. From Derbyshire to Birmingham, the story is filled with unanswered questions, covert operations, and a search for the truth. Let's begin by understanding the background and key players in this high-stakes investigation. Repton Security Limited, led by Stephen Remington and his associates, played a pivotal role in the private investigation commissioned by McLaren Construction. Their pedigree as ex-police officers gave them unique insights into investigative processes, allowing them to fill the gaps left by traditional law enforcement. Their website openly advertised private investigation services, surveillance, and vehicle tracking, positioning themselves as the go-to experts for business crime. This set the stage for their deep involvement in Operation Granite. McLaren Construction Limited, a national building contractor, was at the heart of the investigation. With major commercial projects and hundreds of employees, McLaren's operations spanned multiple regions. During the period in question, David Horton served as regional managing director, overseeing significant projects like the Amesbury Distribution Center. The company's reliance on subcontractors and the high value of its contracts made it a prime target for scrutiny and, ultimately, private investigation. Several individuals played crucial roles in the unfolding events. David Horton, Morris Archer, and other McLaren employees were closely linked to the accused. Relationships between these figures, both professional and personal, added layers of complexity to the investigation. The involvement of legal specialists like Edmonds Marshall McMahon and other private firms further blurred the lines between corporate interests and investigative action. January 2015, a fire broke out at David Horton's residence, damaging 2 vehicles. Initially, the fire was attributed to an electrical fault, but suspicions lingered. The incident became a focal point for the investigation, with questions about its true cause and whether it was connected to broader issues within McLaren's operations. Insurance claims, fire service reports, and subsequent inquiries all played into the narrative of uncertainty and suspicion. Repton Security's approach relied heavily on surveillance and evidence gathering. Their use of vehicle tracking and covert observation was designed to uncover any criminal or untoward activity. The company prided itself on professionalism and discretion, but questions remain about the methods used and the transparency of their findings. The lack of disclosure regarding certain investigative firms and the handling of evidence became contentious points in the legal proceeding. Investigation was not conducted in isolation. Repton Security worked alongside legal specialists such as Edmonds Marshall McMahon and law firms like Taylor Wessing. These partnerships brought additional expertise, but also raised questions about the flow of information and the roles of each party. Testimonies and references from legal partners highlighted the effectiveness of the investigation, but also hinted at the complexity of the relationships involved. One of the most controversial aspects of Operation Granite was the alleged non-disclosure of key materials and the involvement of multiple private investigation firms. Questions arose about the transparency of the process, the completeness of evidence provided to the police and prosecution, and the potential influence of undisclosed relationships. These issues became central to the defense's arguments and cast a shadow over the integrity of the investigation. From September 2014 through mid-2015, a series of meetings, emails, and investigative actions took place. Key dates include meetings with police inspectors, the compilation of witness statements, and direct communications with McLaren employees. The timeline reveals a sustained and coordinated effort, with Repton Security at the center, shaping the course of the investigation and influencing outcomes at every stage. Handling of witnesses was another area of scrutiny. Repton Security was involved in drafting, amending, and managing witness statements, sometimes making significant changes. There were also allegations of offering financial incentives for testimony and questions about the authenticity of certain statements. The management of witnesses became a critical factor in the prosecution's case and the defense's challenges. A surprising move, Repton Security Midlands Limited was closed just weeks after the first arrest in Operation Granite. This raised suspicions about the timing and motivations behind the company's dissolution. The transition to new business entities, including those linked to Deborah Remington, added further intrigue and prompted questions about the continuity of operations and the retention of critical records. Despite extensive investigations, many questions remain unanswered. Who exactly was employed by Repton Security during the investigation? Were any warrants applied for privately? Did the company or its associates engage in surveillance or tracking beyond what was disclosed? The lack of clear answers continues to fuel speculation and demands for greater transparency from all parties involved. The case has broader implications for public trust in private investigations and the justice system. Mark Cohen, the author of the letter, insists on the right to know the full extent of Repton Security's involvement. He calls for written and oral testimony, the release of undisclosed materials, and answers to a comprehensive list of questions. This demand for accountability reflects the growing expectation for openness in legal and investigative processes. Various professional associations and oversight bodies were notified about the investigation, including the Security Institute, RISQS, and ISOQAR. Their involvement underscores the seriousness of the concerns raised and the need for industry-wide standards in private investigations. The case serves as a reminder of the importance of oversight and the role of external bodies in maintaining ethical practices. Operation Granite remains a landmark case in the intersection of private investigation, corporate interests, and legal accountability. The unanswered questions, complex relationships, and ongoing demands for transparency highlight the challenges facing the industry. As we reflect on the lessons from this case, it's clear that integrity, openness, and rigorous oversight are essential to maintaining public trust in both private and public investigation.